Sweet Ophilia, beautiful queen, seared in my self-esteem, your skin in my dreams. Your name is written all over my wall, with candles and wine. Sweet Ophilia, you must be mine.
Hi, did you miss me, you one true love, Queen Ophilia? I don't know. I hope you like me a little bit at least, you know? Send me flowers and maybe some chocolate. Tiny bit. Oh my god, I'm so tired. Why did I decide to stream at this time? Can't be helped, can't be helped. We are here. We should have fun together. Boop boop doo. I should see if I have everything up. Cause your girl has not prepared, like always. Yeah. Flowers and chocolate sounds lovely. Yeah, I know, right? Get them for me. I deserve to be looked after. Yes. See. Yeah. Definitely not work like it should. It's me! Why do I have ears? Fuck the ears. We don't want ears. Ears are no. Big no. But something that ain't right is this. I made it so pretty before, but now it's not pretty anymore. Why you not pretty? Sorry. It's making me upset. Please kill him, Pappy. Okay, there we go. That's as good as it will get, right? Christmas selfie. Yeah, or autumn. Something. I don't know. I felt having this. Okay, it's a cute one. You know. Oh, Alexander. Hi. Welcome. Welcome to Simping 101. No, this is no simping class. But if you want to take notes, go after Skippy. He's my biggest simp. Not that I'm calling anyone out or anything. Now I love the outfit. Oh, thank you, thank you. I have a lot of things on this outfit. Let me show you. This is my Christmas attire. Wait, let me actually put my cup down. Wait, where is my cup? Oh no, that's my book. My cup. There we go. And we also have this little thing. Yeah. And we also have antlers and reindeer ears. Yes. And now you can take a lot of things off, you know. Not like that. Don't think like that. And I can change to my normal hair if I want to. I can have different hairstyles. Pretty cool. Pretty cool. Yeah. But today we will do this. Maybe the book. It seems fitting. Hi. No Rudolph? No Rudolph nose. But I can get very blushy blush. It's almost the same thing, right? Almost. Almost the same thing. It's not even Halloween. Hey, in my country, we don't celebrate Halloween. Halloween is actually not celebrated in Sweden. Yeah. So the closest celebration we have is Christmas, and I start Christmas in like September, around my birthday, you know. After my birthday, the biggest next event is Christmas, and that's when we start preparing for Christmas. I just made the queen blush. Yes. I love me some blushy blushy. Totally not calling me out. No, I'm not calling you out. No. I could also go insane, like you know, what the fuck, man? That's me when you don't simp enough. I'm like, you want to die or something? Yeah. Or when someone ruins my library books, you know? It's extra spooky when I'm smiling and doing it. I'm like, yes, of course. Now get the fuck out. It's kind of funny though. I like it. I'm so big to you guys that I can't see you. Do I want to see you? Kiss you. Mwah. No. No kissing this the chat. Fuck you guys. You know getting love. No love for you. But you know, we can make it a little bit less Christmassy if we take this away. See? Now it's just Christmas colors. You know, it's not that much Christmassy. Oh, for their heads. Right. Gotta fulfill my daily simping. Yeah. No kisses. Yeah. No kisses for you. Have you guys read the Nobel Prize winner, by the way? I managed to read 5 books. And she's written 11, so almost half of her books I managed to read. I started Tuesday, so, you know, I haven't had many days to read on. So thank God she wrote very small books, you know? They are not very lengthy. So that's very nice. Maybe we should actually have some music in the background. What do we want to have? Beside the sunflower field. I like that song. That's a good one. Bam 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 bam. Is that good or is it too loud? For anyone wondering where my music comes from, Skippy is a musician and he written all these songs for me. The intro songs and all the background music and everything. They all, you know, written and sung and played by Skippy. He's very talented, yeah. Last time I'm saying it. Well, Fly? I've been reading A Girl's Story in my spare time. Oh, I haven't read any. I'm chronically reading some. Oh, I see. Yeah. One man band. Yeah. Well, legend. Yes. I don't know how many songs you made for me. 5? You have the intro song. And then you have the sunflower song. Then you have the autumn song. And there's another one. Is it 4 or 5? Something like that. I don't remember. I like him. Ah. If you're wondering why I'm so slow, because I haven't prepared. I have prepared, but I'm very bad at my preparing. I always think I'm like, oh, I'm definitely prepared. I know my shit. Then I don't. And then I'm sitting there looking stupid. We don't want to look stupid today. We want to look educated and smart. Maybe this song a bit too upbeat. Now everyone gonna be like, oh, just make up your mind. God damn it. Let's go for the fall one. Yeah, I think this is a bit more mellow. Easier. Better. Yeah, I think that's 3. But also use Summertime Haze technically for... Oh, yeah. This is free stream? Yeah. I managed to shower in 5 minutes, before starting. Very fun. I 20 minutes before the stream, I was like, hey, I need to shower actually. Because I can't shower after the stream because that's going to be midnight for me and I need to go to bed. And I also need to go up at 6 o'clock tomorrow morning because I'm working and Val needed me to go and get his car after or before my work. So I need to go and get that or get him to where he's getting his car. Whatever, you don't have to worry about it. But I need to be up really, really early tomorrow. So hopefully I will not talk too much, but we can do this in 2 hours roughly. You all know that I love to ramble and I love to discuss and I like to talk a lot. So hopefully we will not talk too much, My fastest shower is 10 minutes. What are you drinking? I am drinking just water actually. I only have a water bottle. I don't have any tea. I was going to make tea, but I never made tea. Yeah, I ran out of time. I think, I got really fast at showering after when I was a swim teacher and when I was swimming myself. I kind of learned how to shower really fucking fast, I love hearing you talk about things you're passionate and knowledgeable. Well, the thing is, I don't think I'm very knowledgeable. Like, I understand that I probably am, and I'm probably extremely well read, but to me, I'm fucking dumb, To me, I'm super dumb and I don't have any IQ. But then again, when I look at other people, I realize that maybe I'm not so dumb that I think I am. Like, for example, on Tuesday, I'm going to educate kindergarten teachers how to read out loud fairy tales and stories, like how to narrate a story for the kids. and they both want me to have like an educational session where I tell them how I prepare when I'm going to read for kids in the kindergarten or whatever. And then they want me to also read for them out loud to then see how I put it into practice. And you know, in my mind, I'm just like, are they fucking dumb? It's read. It's not that hard. But now when I've been doing like a presentation on what you have to think about and what you should do, I realized there's a lot of things that I do that I don't think about that I do, because to me it's so obvious. And it's not always obvious to other people, you know? So it's kind of fun. I think it's like that with everyone though. Like if you have done something for a long time and you're very like knowledgeable on something, like you don't think about the things you do, but then when you have to explain or show someone else, that's when you realize that, oh shit, I actually do a lot of things and I think about a lot of things without thinking about doing them, but you are doing them. Don't you just read out loud by having the book face the class? I mean, yes and no. It depends on, like, you know, the classroom. Is it a classroom with a lot of children from other countries? Do they know Swedish? Is Swedish their mother language? Because we have a lot of mixed classes with a lot of children who doesn't know Swedish that well. Then you might need to use your hands. You might need to stop and explain things. You might also want to use props. And, you know, props are fun to use with other kids as well. You also need to have read the book yourself first, so you know, like, you know the story, so you know when to take a break, when to take a breather, when to do, like, you know, dramatic pauses. And if you also have read the story, you also know you can do different voices for different characters, because that's something kids really like. If you also have read the story, you can also stop at places and, like, talk about what do you think is going to happen now, or what do you think this means, or look at this picture, and you can discuss the picture just to get them to understand the meaning behind the book and the meaning behind the story, and, like, why do we have a picture of this? What does that represent in the book, and so on. So you make them smarter. It's not just to, like, read a book up and down and you're done, but you have to do it with a little bit of spice, you know? So there's, like, a lot of things and a lot of techniques you can add. But yes, I also agree, like, is it not just to read a fucking book? It's not that hard, you know? But it is what it is, right? And I never really thought about these things. And also, another thing that's extremely important that I think is, like, the number one thing, it's to read a book that you yourself really like. Because kids they can tell super easy if you're not into a book. If you don't like a story and you don't like a book, reading it for kids will make them like, why are you reading this? You don't even like it. Because if you like it, you'll put more oomph into it. And it's the oomph that kids like, you know? A little pizzazz. Yeah. Can you hear some character voices? No. I'm a little bit shy. I actually am not that shy, but I don't know. I mean, I can't just do them. I would need to, you know, have a story to read. Then I can make different voices for. I'm not a voice actor. I'm a librarian that read books, you know? It's a difference. But yeah, I like reading for kids. It's like one of my favorite things to do, especially kindergarten kids. And something that I feel is very, very important, because I've seen this in America a lot and I don't understand why, but a lot of librarians or teachers, they sit on, like, a stool or, like, a small pedestal or something when they read for the kids, and then the kids sit on the floor, so the teacher are, like, a lot higher up. and then they look down on the kids when they read to them, and I don't really understand why. Why can you not sit on the floor in a circle together with the kids and go down on their level and just making a cozy, like, let's sit on the floor around in a circle kind of cozy feeling? Why do you have to sit above the kids and look down on them? And have the kids like sit and look up at you like you're some god or something? I don't really understand that. I don't think it's important. I just feel like, how do you connect with the kids if you're going to sit and be above them? I don't know. Maybe it's just me. Quick, someone write a story. Yes, write a story. But the thing is, I'm gonna, educate the kindergarteners, teachers on this on Tuesday, and I don't know what story to read them. Because they wanted me to read a story to like show them how to put all the things into practice and how a professional reads a story. And I feel like, I never had adults judging me. I had a lot of kids judging me, obviously, because, and kids love it when I read stories. So it's not like I think I'm bad at it. And I mean, my entire YouTube channel is about my narrating things. But it's kind of odd to have like adults sit in a classroom and then you're going to like, and this is how you read and narrate a story the best, and then them learning how to do it from you. I don't know. I feel like I have to pick the perfect story and I can't find the perfect story, I'm like, I want to find a story where I either can use props or a story where I could do a lot of different voices, but I can't find anyone good because most of the ones that I love are only, it's either like one narrator or it's like only one character in the book, so it's not like a bunch of characters doing a lot of things. So I don't know. I will probably, figure it out tomorrow. I'm going to sit and think about it. It's a power trip. Yeah, I think so. I don't really understand it though. But it could also be that I love the feeling of, sitting on the floor and then you have like, kids coming really, really close to you and everyone wants to sit next to the librarian with the book, and then after reading it, you turn the book around and you show everyone the pictures and everyone is like, oh my God, look, It's so cute and so cozy. I think it's actually because they want kids to pay attention, so if they're above, they look at the teacher and the kids are aware of the teacher, so you can see all of them. I mean, I don't know. You can definitely see all the kids on the floor as well. Because classes are not that big. They're not that big. Like, if you have a class, they can definitely sit in a circle, Usually you have these mats that you sit on and you sit around them. You can definitely do that. I don't know. Maybe it's a very un-Swedish thing, because when you talk to a child and when you're communicating with a child in Sweden, you do it on their level. And when I see in other countries, they don't really do that on a child's level. It's like, when a lot of kids are like, hey, Miss Librarian, I want this book, and they start tugging in my skirt, Other librarians, they just look at the child and be like, okay, and then they like point at the book. I would like sit, like kneel down and be with the kid and look the kid in their eyes and be like, I'm here on your level, please tell me what you need. Kids pay attention when their teachers are really into what they're doing. Yeah. Then again, I'm not a teacher. I'm a librarian, so the teachers usually sit in the back of the classroom and like keep track of the kids, and I'm just sitting with the kids on the floor, being all cozy. So it's not really my job to keep track of the kids. Anyway, this is not what we were going to talk about. See what happens? You know, I get into something and I'm talking about it. Weird. Anyway, Nobel Prize winner 2022. Oh my god. Annie. I don't actually know how to technically say her name because it's French and I am not educated in France or French. But I've heard people say Ernaux. And you don't pronounce the X, so it's just Ernaux or Ernaux. Annie Ernaux. Or Ernaux. Ernaux. Maybe you don't say the R. Maybe it's Ernaux. That's what I heard the literacy people in Sweden say. Maybe it's a Swedish people butchering it. But that's what I will say. I will just say Annie. Let's not bother with her last name, to be honest. Well, we did it again. We do it all the time. It was announced not this week, but the week before on Tuesday. I don't know what date it was. Not that was any particular, but to get the Nobel Prize, it's the Swedish Literacy Academy that decides the winner. And considering the committee in Sweden recently is a lot of women in the committee recently due to a lot of #MeToo stuff that happened, and we don't have to go into it, but there was like a lot of things happened recently with a lot of male people in the committee that did some bad things, and there's a lot of books around it and stuff. But there's a lot of women now, and considering that Annie won, I can see why she won, because Annie's books are very they are based on her life because they're autobiographies, but they're also extremely pushing narrative against sexism, the Me Too movement, abortion, and women has their right to their bodies, as well as some political agendas in France, but also how it is to live in a small town in the Normandy. I think is it southern of France? It's like a small village in France, how it is to live there and how to grow up there as a woman. Something that I feel is very, very sad is I think this is the 15th or 16th author from France that won. It is the very first French female author that won, which is nice. But something that I feel that we're missing is most authors that win this prize are from Europe or Americans, and sometimes we throw in an African American in there or something. And I feel like, you know, there's a lot of literature that we have not discovered in like India and Asian countries and Eastern countries overall. But maybe that's just me. I also think that maybe it's hard to give them a prize if the books are not translated. It's hard to take, you know, into consideration because then you don't know if they're good enough. But then again, we had Bob Dylan win, and he's not even an author. He just wrote some lyrics to songs. It was a weird year, especially because they didn't get in touch with him until like 1 month later after winning, and then he was like, oh yeah, I saw the news that I won it, but I'm not super interested. And then he said, but I guess I will be there and like take the prize. but then just a week before he was going to be given the prize, he was like, nah, I don't want to make it, I don't really feel like it. So he sent someone else to just go to Stockholm and pick it up. And I don't know if he didn't want it or if he felt like he didn't deserve it, but I feel like it's very like fuck you to the Nobel Prize and everyone else that could have been into it. But I don't know. Hi Hiroda, how you doing? I had no idea Bob Dylan won that. Yeah. It was a weird year. It was a weird year. I mean, I don't know. It was also, I don't know if you know the author Doris Lessing. She's written a lot of books, like legit a lot of books. And she won in the beginning of 2000. I think it was 2006 or 2007. Something like that. And I think the motivation was something about that she described the female in good or something. I'm not really sure. The only that I remember from it is that she was extremely upset that she won. You know, she was not upset that she won, but she was very upset that the motivation to her winning, because she was like, I don't see the difference between female and male people, and I don't understand why I won this without motivation. It's completely bullshit and everything. And she basically didn't want the prize because she didn't like how it was portrayed as an author. And I get it, but like one part of me is just like, it's like, it is like the biggest prize in like literacy ever. Like in literature, if you want to win a prize, the Nobel Prize is like the biggest thing you can win. Like you can have every right to be upset about things and be like, I feel like the motivation was crap, but you can also be, you know, thankful on camera and be like, thank you for the prize, and then you can, you know, puke about what the fucking idiots the Swedes are for giving you that motivation in private. But maybe that's a very Swedish thing to do. But I remember when like they came up to her, all the paparazzis and everything, and they were like, Doris, you won, did you know? And she just looked at them and she was like, yeah, I know, get out of my way, you know. And she pushed everyone away because she didn't even want to discuss it, you know. She was not very happy with winning. It was a bit patronizing. I don't know. I thought the motivation was pretty good. It's not really, maybe it's not up to me though to say what you like, and I don't know. I just feel it's dumb, you know. Be happy that you won. But yeah, after the thing with Bob Dylan, they were very, very scared about this not getting a hold of the winner. Last year they did not have that issue because they called and the author answered right away. This year, Annie did not answer the call. She didn't answer after. She didn't answer for many, many hours. Until very late that night. They finally got a hold of her, and they told her that she won the Nobel Prize, and they've been trying to contact her, and she was like, oh my god, I've been working on a book. I didn't know, but I've been feeling and seeing my phone going crazy, and it's been vibrating all day. But when I'm working, and I do not answer my phone. But the Swedes, especially in the Nobel Prize Committee for the literature, they were sweating, you know, they were shaking, they were super, super nervous. They were like, oh my god, we have another person who hates our prize and she doesn't want it, what should we do? You know, it's going to be in all the papers. But Annie's, she's really happy that she won it, and she feels very, very flattered. Oh, hi, Spooky. I'm excited to catch you live. Oh, thank you. Welcome, welcome. So, Annie, she was very happy to get it. Very happy to get it. Something else that happened though is, I feel like, you know, as an author, that you feel that your writing and your working is that important to you, that you don't let the phone or anything like disturb you. I find that very admirable. She's in all the interviews that I've seen with her, she's extremely humble and she comes across very, very nice and collected, and she feel like this Nobel Prize is a big honor, but she's also very scared about if she can make it justice, because she feels like now everyone knows about her and now everyone knows her voice, and now maybe she should use her voice for good and promote goodness and maybe help in political issues, because maybe people will listen to her because now people know who she is. I want to say the reason why she got the Nobel Prize is because she's been speaking the truth and she's been promoting things that she feels is wrong in the world. So, I mean, I feel like she's doing great, but she felt like she has a lot more responsibilities on her shoulders, which she's okay with. And she wanted to do more good, and she wanted to maybe start writing more essays or writing debate articles to the magazines and papers, and help more in protests against things that she believes in, and take a more political role, which I also think is very admirable, that you want to use your voice for good and not just be like, hey, I won, thank you, publicity, great, let's move on. You know? So that's pretty nice. Oh, she was busy working? Yeah, she was busy working. I think she was working on her next book, which is pretty cool. Yeah. But enough about the Nobel Prize. She's the Nobel Prize winner. I will start with talking a little bit about who Annie is, so we know like roughly who she is. I'm not going to go into depth of who she is, but we can get a little bit into her as an author. And then I will talk about the books I've read. I'm not going to spoil the books. And then I'm going to talk a little bit about the books I haven't read and what I know about those books. Oh yeah, and also we're going to talk about the motivation why she won the Nobel Prize as well. Honestly, that's so charming. I think so too. She seems like she would be made for a powerful activist. Yeah, I think so. She, yeah, I think so. Yeah. Hi, Scotty. Hi. Especially consider her age, since she still has so many plans. Yeah, exactly. She's 82. She's very old. I mean, I can't say she's extremely old, like, oh my god. But she is still 82, you know? A lot of people do, like, you know, they retire after, like, 65 or 63. And then they just take it easy the last years, and many people can't even walk when they're 80, and some people are not even around when they're 80. So being 82, still being like, you know, fresh and healthy and having so many plans for the future and wanting to do more and contribute more to the society, I feel that's very admirable, you know? There's been other winners of this Nobel Prize who's just been like, oh my god, thank you, I move on, I guess, you know? It's odd though. I don't understand why you would do that, but yeah, each to their own, I guess. Here's a picture of Annie. She's born in September, like me, but she's born the 1st of September, and she was born 1940, so during the World War, the Second World War, she was born. There's 4 things I want to talk about a little bit, roughly. We can start with her early life and her education. She was born in a very small village in Normandy, and she grew up there with her parents. Her parents was running a cafe and a grocery. They were like working class, so they were not of the poor side, but they were definitely not well off either. In the 1960s, she traveled to England, where she was working as an au pair. It's also like an experience that she wrote in one of her books, the Memoir de Filet, or whatever it's called, but a girl's story, it's called, the book. She talks about her life and her travel to England, and how it was with the experience of being an au pair and living there as a teenager. When she came back to France, she studied in a university, and then she qualified to become a school teacher. So she became a teacher, which isn't... I feel like it makes sense that she would want to be a teacher. She comes off as the person who likes to learn things and like to teach other people. She also got a higher degree in modern literature after that, after she became a school teacher. And then she started working on a thesis, but as far as I know, it's still unfinished because she never finished the thesis. She also started working on different colleges. She moved around a bit and stuff, but then she got employed by National Center of Distance Education, and there she worked for 23 years at the same time as she started writing. Oh nice, she was the teacher. Yeah. Yes. Just like Gina. All great people help other people, or help or educate people. There's a lot of teachers who are like cool people. She seems like she would be a great teacher, a passionate one. Yeah, I think passionate, but also very humble. You know, I feel like she would be extremely humble to her pupils, and she would not like degrade them for not understanding things. I feel like she would be very understanding and very calm and collected, and she would like tell them like this is how it is, and she would discuss with them, and she would, you know, want them to succeed there rather than like tearing them down kind of thing. But that's just based on what I know from her on interviews, and I know some people can be fake on interviews because they know the spotlight is on, so I can't speak on how she is in like personally, so I'm just taking everything from what I've learned in interviews here, okay? When it comes to her literary career, then she started her career like I think it was like 1974 was one of her books. I think it's called Cleaned Out or something like that in English, but I can't find that one translated. Maybe I'm dumb, but I can't really find it. But she wrote that in 1974, and she educated herself in the 70s. So let's say she wrote it roughly after she was done with her education. And then in 84, I know that she got her name out in the media in France in 84 when she won a prize on her novel A Man's Place, and that's an autobiography where she tells the story about her relationship with her dad, and it got it caught the eye of many men in the French literature industry, because they loved how raw she described her dad and her dad's struggle. And I think that book, you know, it spoke to the men. And at that time in the 80s, I mean, you would think that it would be like more divided between the genders, but it was still very like, it was a man's world in the 80s still. So when she wrote that book, it caught the eyes of bigger names, and it earned her a prize, which made her a little bit more well known in France. That's the one I wanted to read next. Ooh, A Good Mentor. Yes, yes indeed. But earlier in her career, she just turned her fiction. She tried to write fiction, but as far as I know, she never published any fictions, even if she have talked about writing fiction. And it was around the time between these two works, from 74 and 84, that she decided that autobiography maybe was her jam, so to speak. Her work combined like historical events, but also with her individual experience, which made for something special and unique in her books. And that's where she kind of got her foot from. You know, she was like, this is something not a lot of people do, but I can do it. So after that, I think she wrote one book about her parents' social progression. She also wrote about her teenage years and her marriage. She also had one about a passionate affair, and so on and so on. I will talk more about her books later on, so I will not speak on them here so much. But in the beginning of the 2000s, her stories started and books started winning more and more prizes, and they also started getting translated into different languages. Some of these books have also been made into a movie recently. I've been wanting to watch it, but it haven't happened yet. But soon I will. So yeah, that's her literary career. I will talk more about her books later on, just not to do it here. But she started very, very early, and she won a prize very, very early as well in her career. And I think it's interesting that she wanted to write fiction, but she decided not to. So she was like, meh. I know in an interview she said that because they were not that well off from her family, she said that her mom was very, very on her, that she was not to do any chores at home. She was not to learn how to clean and how to cook, that all the other girls. She was supposed to sit down, she was supposed to read, she was going to educate herself to be something greater, something more than what her parents had and was. And she wanted them to, her mother wanted to push her out in society to be well off compared to what her parents was. So she was pushed into both get an education but also to read, and that's where her passion for books came. And I think it's very, very seldom that you see parents that push for education. I mean, it's not that seldom that they push for the education, but it's very seldom that you see them push for literature, like books, and like for them to read a lot. It's more like you need to be a doctor, you know, go and be a lawyer or something, you know. They want you to get like the most paying job. Here was more like get a good job, a stable job that's not here, that you like, but please be educated and go live your life. That's not this small town. But yeah, if she were to write fiction, what genre would you think she would write in? I think she would write I think she would write what she does now, but she would make up different background stories. Because now she's using herself as the main character, and she's using her life experience as the question or like the subject of the book. But if she would write normal books, I think she would make up the main character and make up the storyline, but she would still go for a more criticized fiction story about society and sexism and Me Too and stuff like that. I don't think she would go outside, because I feel like she's so educated and she knows so much, and with her experiences she can still talk about those things, even if she just directs it to, oh, it's not about me, this is actually a fictional character that I made up, but still using those, you know. But I think the thing with her books is her books hit so hard because they are so raw, not only because you know the base of her life, but you also know that her way of writing, I don't know if you haven't read her book, but her way of writing, it's so straightforward and naked and harsh, and she's very unapologetic about the fact that, you know, this is how life is and this is how it looks like, and I don't care if you don't like the way it looks, because this is how it is. And I think that's what she does very, very well. Okay, I have to head out. Okay, Alexander, good night and have a good day. And I hope you fall asleep properly. So then we have the political activism that she's part of. She was a big supporter of Jean-Luc in the 2012 French presidential election that I know of, and in 2018 she expressed her support for the yellow vest protests. I'm not going to talk about who they are, but if you're interested, you can look that up. So she's supporting the yellow vest protest. She was also repeatedly indicated her support to BDS movement. It's a Palestinian-led campaign promoting boycotting for sanctions against Israel and stuff like that. She's been a lot of things, and she have done a lot. She's signed a lot of letters to support different causes, and she's very into politics and activisms overall. But yeah, but following the announcement of the award of the Nobel Prize, then Annie showed that solidarity with people's uprising in Iran against their government. And the protest that followed the death of a young woman in the custody of Guidance Patrol. I'm guessing you have heard about this case. Initially started against the hijab law in Iran, but soon took border focus on the liberty. And Annie said in an interview that she was absolutely in favor of women revolting against this absolute constraint. So she is very active in different political views and things, and she's not afraid to speak her mind. If she believes in something, she's very on to say so. And her personal life, I actually don't have that much to say on her personal life. The only thing I have was she was married to a man called Philippe, and they have 2 sons together. They divorced in the 80s, roughly in the 80s. I don't really know when. In the mid 70s, she moved to a suburb to Paris, and she's been living there ever since. That's kind of all I have on her personal life, because I don't really know much about her personal life more than that. But she seems to be a very lively, very fun person. I've seen a couple of interviews with her, and she's extremely cute. And I don't know how her English is though, because I never heard her speak English. I only seen French interviews with her with subtitles. So I don't know if it's because she is very rusty on English, or if she's just more comfortable with French speaking. She sounds fascinating. I mean, yeah, do it. Get one of her books. They're Why do my nose get so stuffed though? Like, oh my god. Let me count. 1, 2. She has 23 books, by the way. But there's only... oh my god, my nose. There's only 11 translated, what I can find. Oh, it's actually 14 translated. Oh well. I have 11 today that I'm going to talk about. Don't mind me. 3 of her books has been turned into movies. You have 2021, her movie Happening, or her book Happening was into a movie. 2022, her other book called Simple Passion was turned into a movie. And then 2008, her book The Other One was made into a movie. So she has 3 movies based on her books. I thought it was only 1. Okay. And they are all French, by the way. So you will have to watch them with subtitles if you're gonna watch them. I have to watch those when I get the chance. Yeah, I was going to suggest that we was going to watch them on Friday for movie night, because we always have movie night on my Discord every Friday. But I didn't want to force people to watch French movies that's a little bit like, you know, about feminism and stuff, you know. I didn't want to force that on people, so I didn't suggest it. But if you're into it, we can do it on Friday, because I really want to watch her movies, especially The Happening. After reading that book, I'm like, you know, my heart. But the Nobel Prize, this is the motivation for her getting the prize. It's for the courage and clinical acuity with which she uncovers the roots, estrangements, and collective restraints of personal memory. And it kind of means basically that she is not afraid to speak her mind, and she tells what she believes in things, and she's very correct in her way of speaking. But her books are written in a we format. It's not all of them, but many of them. She uses her personal experience and her personal memories, but then she writes it into an autobiography. But it's not about her, even if she is the main character and the things happening to her. but she's taking it into a different whole, and then she's discussing it on a wider range, like, why is it like this? Why is it happening? And we as a collective people should not accept this into the world, and this is not okay, and we went through this in the 70s, for example, and we suffered this. She personally did suffer this, but she doesn't want the books to be about her. She wants the books to be about us and what the people went through there, because she was not alone in going through all these things and all these emotions. And she wanted everyone to feel connected, and she wanted to discuss that. So that's where the collective comes from. I was gonna say the Prime Minister, but that's not what I was going to say. What is it called? The head of the committee, he said it's a very strong prose, both brief and uncompromising. That's what he thinks about her books, and I agree with him. I won't rewatch them, unfortunately. This is a monarchy. I mean, we can watch them. I don't mind. It's her books are very strong, but I also feel like, because I have read 5 of them, and I feel like if you have read a few, especially the ones I picked to read, you will soon see why I'm saying this. They are very, very alike. Sometimes I can't keep them apart because they have different, not genres, but they have different themes. But sometimes I feel like these themes go very, very hand in hand and go together. And I feel like all the books after a while kind of sound the same. And maybe it's because I rushed through the books and I just like, I need to read as many as possible for today. And maybe that's why. I don't think that's why, because usually I can rush through books and still see differences in them. But I felt like they're very, very similar. But at the same time, that's not all bad. Because that just means that Annie has her own kind of way and style of writing that's so distinct that you know that she wrote the books, because it's her way of writing. But like her way of discussing different topics, and she brings up the same topics, and it gets a little bit repetitive. Like you feel like, oh, I read this, or she already talked about this in her other book. Yeah. Which would you recommend the most? Oh, I'm getting there. Okay. These are the books that I've read. Okay, I know it's 4, but it was 4 when I made this presentation, and I read a 5th one today, so I will talk about the 5th one later on. So these are the 4 that I've been reading. And we have the first one. This was the first that I read, and the first one I picked up, and it's called The Happening. The English one. I'm not going to talk about the French names because I don't know French and blah blah blah. And we're doing this in English, so I'm going to do the titles in English. But it's called The Happening, and this one is made into a movie that I really, really want to watch. It was written the first time in 2001, and it's roughly 130 pages. And it's about abortions. It's about Annie herself, who is in the 70s, and she got pregnant. And she does not want to be pregnant, because she's from a small town. Her parents are pushing her to be something and not stuck in that city forever and ever. And being pregnant out of wedlock would not only bring shame into the family, but it would also make it impossible for her to go to a higher education, because you can't, go to a university if you're pregnant, or if you have a child at home that's waiting for you. And, the guy who she got pregnant with, he's an asshole, you know, she told him that, oh my god, I'm pregnant, what should we do? And he was like, bitch, not my problem, kinda. But then he's like, turned it around and he was like, but on the other hand, that means you can't get pregnant because you're already pregnant, so let's fuck, you know? And she was like, whoa, 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 whoa. That's not how that works, you know? But she realizes that she has to do something, so she goes to a doctor. But at this time in the 70s, oh, hi Clippy, good morning. But at this time in the 70s, the abortions was illegal, so you were not allowed to abort a child, so to speak, because that would be murder. And so when she came to the doctor, he told her that, oh, that's nothing I can do for you, and if I did something, or if I pointed you in the right direction where you could go to get this done, you know, even though it's illegal, I would get into trouble. You know, I want to help you and I understand your issues, but I can't really do anything for you. She was very saddened, very sad, so she had to do her best with what she had to get an abortion, and she did the most unspeakable thing ever. And I have a quote from the book that might be a little bit graphic, okay? So if you're easily disgusted, both don't read this book, because it's very naked, very raw, very, very disgusting. But also don't listen now, okay? Because this sentence that I marked in my book, it haunted me and gave me nightmares. And maybe you guys will not feel it because you're men, and I know 98% of my audience is men, but you know, as a female, it hurts me to read this. And it's the following morning, I lay on my bed and slowly inserted a knitting needle into my vagina. I groped around, vainly trying to locate the opening of my womb. Like, what the fuck? She had to, like, insert knitting needles into her. And not only did she just poke around in there to have a miscarriage, but she walked around with them inside her for days. Days! Like 3 days. And it didn't work, so she had to like go to another person who did it for her. And then suddenly it worked. But then, you know, the pregnancy had gone like 4 or 5 months, so she had to like give birth. And her university roommate had to like help her give birth to this thing. And they cut the cord and put it in a trash bag and just threw it out. And she was like, yeah, it was pretty hard in the bag, you know, it kind of stiffened pretty quickly. And I was like, what? Oh, hi, zombie. Yeah, it was pretty weird. So, you know, the thing is about Annie's books is you might be like, oh, they're only 100 pages, or maybe they're only 60 pages. But she says so much in so little time, and they're so graphic and so vivid, and like this one scarred me a little bit, both because I it's horrible, and as a female myself, I'd be like, oh my god, what if that happened and I don't have control of my own body? And what really upset me the most, I'm sorry, I'm going to spoil the ending here, I'm really sorry about this. Now I'm actually spoiling, because this is the book that got me, you know. If you don't like spoilers, don't listen now, you know. But in the end, the doctor that she went to in the beginning, when she's done and everything and she gets everything over with, the doctor, he was like, oh, you could have gone here or here and here. You know, you almost died when you did this, but if you would have gone here, you could have had an easy, you know, simple things. But, you know, now you don't need it. But you should have gone there. And she's like, huh? So after she was done and she didn't need an abortion clinic, she found a lot of them suddenly. Because when you're not in need of them, they're everywhere. And people help you everywhere. Literally a dumpster, baby. Yeah. But yeah. This one, it was made into a movie, and my coworker, she said that she saw the movie, and she said that the movie scarred her, and she hadn't even read the book, and I was like, And because this book scarred me a little bit, I don't know if I want to see it, because, like, you know, I saw the trailer and I saw her picking up the knitting needle and she heated the needle up because she needed to heat it up, and then she started poking inside herself, and I was like, oh, you know. I don't know if I can watch that, okay? But maybe. Who wrote this book? Jeffrey Dahmer? No, the Nobel Prize winner, Annie. That is highly unfortunate, yeah. Yeah, but this, it's a very graphic book. So far, that's the most graphic book that I've read, the one that scarred me. And it's kind of funny because I read horror books all the time. I read graphic, extreme horror, you know, and I both watch it and I read it. I read a ton of sickening, disgusting, weird things. But this book scarred me. And, you know, I'd be like, oh, I don't know. I can't even look at a knitting needle anymore without just feeling like, ooh, what if you poked around with that? Ooh, ugh, no. And the way, like, you know, the way she describes everything, because she's describing everything very, very vividly, especially like, you know, when she gave birth to the child and what they did to the child, and, like, you know, how everything worked. And I'm like, stop, you know. I will never forget the necrophilia book you showed me. Yeah, I know, that one scarred me as well. Like, yeah, you know, if I'm going to do, like, these books actually scarred me and I read horror books for a living, The Happening would be in it. And it's not even a horror book. It's just, it's just uncomfortable, you know? Horror is one thing, but this being a real thing women deal with. Exactly. And it's like, you know, she went through this in the 70s, and you can think like, oh, but it was the 70s, you know, we have better laws now. But we really don't. Not all countries do. There's a lot of countries out there that have these issues. But not only that, like, if I look at our, like, prime minister, like, the head speaker in the Swedish, like, prime minister blah 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 thing, there was a woman, and she is against abortions, and she now have a power being against abortions. Are we going to be against abortions in Sweden? I don't know. But it's weird that people today, because, you know, you can always be like, oh, you know, it was Christianity and shit, but no, you can't anymore. Yeah, this book was deeply upsetting to me. I've read in horror things and needles and dumpster babies. This up there, yeah. Exactly. Are you okay? I am okay. I'm okay. But you know, that's the first book. And I want to say, after reading, I'm very happy this was the first book I read. Like, you know, I'm super happy this is the first book, because the other books that I read after, they are good, but they are not, oh my god, this is amazing and I'm a little bit scarred and I do understand, as much as with The Happening. So if I'm going to recommend a book after the ones I read The Happening. The Happening is like, oh. But also, I feel personally,
it describes Annie's way of writing really, really well. You will understand in the end of this why it's good to have abortions. You know, why abortion is a good thing, you know? Like, if you did not know abortion is a good thing, you will understand after reading this book. Hopefully you will understand after reading this book. I mean, it sounds like a great book in a really painful way. Yeah. The other book that I read is The Possession, and I really... I clicked with this book as well. I gave this 5 stars as well. It's written in 2003. It has 63 pages. It's not that long. It's very, very short book. And it's about like getting insane over an ex. And I know that sounds like I would never. But I think we have all gone like, you know, you loved someone so much and you thought they loved you, and suddenly it's over, but you don't really get an explanation to why. And then you hear the fact that that person has a new one, and you start to feel obsessed over this other person. Are they better than you? How do they look like? Have they a better education than you? And you start seeing this other woman or other man or whatever you want to say in everyone. Like, you know, so this is based on her. She was together with a man, and suddenly he had another woman, and he left her on the side, and he was like, you know, I got this girl now. And she tried to get information because she was not, you know, happy with just hearing that he has someone else. She needed to know who, to see for herself who this other woman was. You know, was she better? Did she have a better education? Was she, you know, did she have more hobbies with him? Did she have bigger boobs than her? Did she have wider hips? Like, what was it with this other woman that made him choose her and not herself? So she started getting super obsessed, and she started to get like information from him, and he didn't really want her to have the information. So, you know, he was like, oh, her name starts with the letter R, and she's a professor at this college or something. And then she started like searching like for all the names, like, you know, on these colleges or whatever. And she starts seeing this other woman in every woman ever that she sees. And she's like, of course, that woman is better than me. So it's a little bit of like self-hatred, because she looks down on herself so much, until that she got to the point where she could just let go. And I have a quote from that book as well. It's not disgusting, I promise. It's not like the first one. But I really like this quote, so I underlined it. And it's, the strangest thing about jealousy is that it can be populated an entire city, the whole world, with a person you may never have met or seen. So she got so jealous and so obsessed with someone that she didn't even know, she haven't met the person, and she didn't even see the person. Like, but she had this vivid image of who the other woman had to be. She had to be a blonde one, she had to have big boobs, she had to have this kind of education, because why would he leave her for someone less than that? You know, that you don't know. In the end, like the girl could have looked completely different, you know, like a little library mouse, you know, with brown hair and glasses and, you know, hard to see because she blends in with the environment or whatever. But yeah, she said a lot in 63 pages, that's for sure. And I really liked it. It was... I gone through a lot of breakups, not a lot of them. I've gone through 3 breakups, I think, with some crazier than others. but I've been cheated on a lot. And I had a time in my life where I went through the same questions about what's wrong with me? Why not me? You know? And I felt like this book spoke to me in that fashion, in that way. Yeah. Library mouse sounds cute. Yeah. That would be me. Stalking her Instagram is apparently a common starting point. Ah, yeah. What do you do to see? Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. I like this one. It was really good. But these two happening in the possession is her recent works. So her other works are more from the 1980s. The next one that I read was Simple Passion, and it's 80 pages, and it's written 91, and that's when my big brother is born, which I thought was a little bit funny. This is... I gave this a 4-star because I can relate to this as well. It's about a memory of hers that she was totally in love with a man, but this man was married. But she loved him so much that she put her entire life on hold for him. She was so passionate about his love and she wanted nothing more than to be with him. So she basically didn't do anything. She worked, of course. She went to work and worked, but then when she got home, she didn't leave her apartment because maybe he would stop by, maybe he would call her, and you know, this was the time where mobile phones were not a thing, so she needed to be home if her like stationary phone at home was ringing. So she was like waiting for him to call her, and everything was on his term and everything was the way he wanted it to be, considering he was married. But she had this fantasy that one day he would just like leave his family and his wife to be with her. But we understand as readers that that's extremely long-fetched. And I don't really have much more to say to that, more than the fact that it was well written and I really liked it. And I also been in a situation where I loved someone who is together with someone else, and you know, it's not really worth it in the end because you're not gonna win. Like you may win if they are only dating another person, then you maybe can win them. But like if the person is married, not a lot of people will, like, you know, get a divorce for you. Then you need to be extremely special. And you know, do you really want someone who divorces their wife and wants to marry you? Are you going to be secure in that? You know, what if he one day meets someone else and wants to, you know, divorce you because he found another one? I don't know. A lot of questions in this one as well. I actually have a quote from this one too. It's, "I do not wish to explain my passion. That would imply that it were a mistake or some disorder I need to justify. I just want to describe it." And I find that nice. I like that she's standing like up for herself and being like, yes, I know I had an affair with a married man, but I'm not gonna sit here and say it was a mistake or that something wrong with me, or I'm not going to justify it either. But I want to explain and describe what I went through and what happened. Lol, you're getting divorced and you're getting divorced? Exactly. Simple passion leads to the possession. Yeah, exactly. Which is kind of funny because it's two different relationships, so it's actually not the same relationship that I know of. I think she said it's two different ones at least. but they do go hand in hand, doesn't they? Then we have Shame. It's number 4 that I read. It's written 1997. It has 112 pages. And it started off with her explaining that one Sunday morning, her father tried to kill her mother. And that's a very strong, first sentence into a book. And after that, she explains what happened this Sunday, why her father tried to kill her mother, or why she thinks her father tried to kill her mother, and what happened. And then she explains how this situation or memory has caused issues in her life after that, and how that has put into perspective to different things. I did not feel like this book was as strong. I would say I was not super amused reading this one. I was more like, okay. She also talked a lot about like shame in different kind of ways. I know she talked about like sexuality and how it's hard for women to talk about that because you don't want to be shameful, but at the same time as a girl you want to know about like periods before they might happen. But if you talk about periods, that makes you a woman, and you can't be a woman if you're a girl, and that makes you shameful, and like how we put shame on girls a lot today. And how she wished that it was also a lot of segments of her like talking about how she looked up to the older girls, because she was like, oh, they have their period, so they have it all together, which I don't really understand, because when I was her age that she's describing, never did I go like, oh my god, yes, I want to bleed once a month because that's making me whole. But maybe that's another time. Maybe that's how it was in the 70s or 50s. I don't know. I found it weird though. But I wanted to have more, because when I read the synopsis and it was like, they told about this opening line, and they were like how this memory formed her as a human or a person, and I was like, that sounds really interesting. But I felt like she told the story about the memory, but then we never connected back to that memory, so I was a little bit disappointed in that. It's still extremely well written, but I only gave it like a 3-star because I was disappointed at that point. But yeah, knowledge is power. It really is. Hi, Yurei. But yeah, it's a great opener. It really is. I have a quote from that one as well that I really liked. It was, the worst thing about shame is that we imagine we are the only ones that experience it. And that hits, because it's true though. Like we feel shame about a lot of things, but in the end everyone feels shame about themselves, everyone has like a small shame monster who's like, oh my god, look at you, that's bad, don't do that. Your green dress is gorgeous, thank you. Damn, he's close to home. It really does. It really does. It also gives it to like a bigger perspective. I think it's really good that we acknowledge the fact that other people do feel shame, and shame is something extremely common, and we should just stop being so shameful. No, we don't have to stop being shameful, but we have to stop feeling this horrible feeling of like shame and regret when things didn't turn out like they should have, especially over things that happened when we were kids. There's a lot of memories that I feel that I have extreme shame for, that I did, like, mostly period things, because I'm a woman. But there's a lot of things that I did, like, there can be fun stories, but some are like, like, oh my god, what did I do, and we need to remember that it's not just us. Everyone feels like that in one way or another. Stopping the stigma around things like shame. Exactly. So these are the 4 books I read from her. I read another one, and it's The Girl's Story. I read this one today, actually. And yeah. I'm not going to talk as much about these books because I haven't read them, so I can't really, like, you know, expand on them. I also don't have quotes from them because, again, I haven't read them. A Girl's Story I can talk about a little bit more than the others, but I don't have a quote from A Girl's Story. But A Girl's Story is from 2016, and it's 144 pages. And this book is... A Girl's Story is about Annie revisiting a night that was like 50 years ago. This is when she found herself like super submerged and controlled by another person, and this person's desires and willpower. It was, I think it was summer 1958-ish. She had just turned 18. And she had a man that she gave herself to. But after she did that, the man moved on. And she started thinking, did she really want to give herself? I mean, sexually, she was a virgin and he took her virginity. Did she really want to give her virginity to him? Or was this something he manipulated into her? Because... she was like, you know, oh, I want to be a woman, you know. And at one point she did want it, but during the act she kind of felt like she didn't want it. But when she was like, you know, oh no, stop, you know, he was like, take it in your mouth, kind of thing. And he came on her, you know, in her mouth and up her nostrils and everything, and clogged everything up. But yeah, I'm sorry for that picture. Do you annotate your books often? If I find something I like about them, I do. But yeah, anyway, she had been submitted her will to him anyway. She did whatever he wanted. And she kind of felt like she found herself in like a slave position, but he being the master, not being present, if you know what I mean. Like, you know, she submitted her entire self to him, like, you know, like how you are when you're a teenager and you find your first love and you're like, I want to give my all to this person. And she did, like, sexually, she gave her virginity to him and everything, and she thought, I'm going to marry this man, I'm going to be with him forever and ever, and I love him and I'm a slave to this man. But then he's like, later dude, and he just like skips away. And apparently the sex that took her virginity lasted 5 minutes or so. Do what you will with that information. Very vivid. Yeah. Oh, like Sims 2. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know what to say. But anyway, she also, anyway, she realizes with this you know, like 50 years later when she's writing it now, she realizes that how controlled she was, and she can see it in a different light. But it's also like, it's about her teenage years. It's like about her being a girl growing into a woman that she is today, and how that formed her writing life. And she feels like it's also the origin of her writing life, because that was like the first time that she felt betrayed, but also the shame again. A lot of about the shame, you know, like she's explaining how all these events like building up the shame inside of her that she's now writing out, but she also feels like very violated by this like happening. And she also talk about like, you know, was it rape, was it not rape? Is it hard? It's very hard to explain, because she was like, she wanted it when she went up to the room with him. At the same time that she didn't, she was like, you know, she was very inexperienced because she was a lot younger than him, and she had not any experience in this area. So she was like, you know, oh, I just wanted to make up with him, but he took me to the room, so I kind of knew what he wanted, but I also didn't know how to say no when I really wanted to do it, because I wanted to make him happy. So now she's kind of like, you know, going over everything that happened at that time and discussing all the things and how that formed her. A core memory, exactly. 5 minutes, quite a marathon then. Yeah. We have found the true one pump man. Oh no, yes we have. But yeah, I read that one today. I haven't scored it yet. I think I will give it like a 4-star thing. Considering I was 14 when I went through my own rape experience. I know I say it so very casually right now, but I'm pretty over the you know, my own core memory, so it's fine. Don't feel like, you know, oh my god, what happened to the queen? It's fine. I you know, I feel it. I feel it. I felt a bit connected to this story. I can see where she's coming from with it. It's a horrible story, of course, but it is what it is. Kinda. We have the years. I think this is actually the longest book she has written, 256 pages. It was written in 2008. And this is... She wrote a diary, normally. And this is her... copying her diary from 1941 to 2006. It's about all those years in between and the biggest events during this that she think is important to her life. This is probably one of the more extensive work of hers. Like, if you want to read a book and get like all her core memories, read this book. Is what I've heard. I have not read it myself. It's on my reading list. But I also feel like, considering I've read all these small stories about all these subjects and other things, I feel like, well, if I read the years, will I just feel like, aha, yeah, I've already read about this? Or maybe those memories are not in the years, but it's everything around it? I'm not sure, but I read people... I have seen an interview about people having book clubs around the years, and my god, my nose is so stuffed. And I have heard it's really, really good. That's what I've heard. People like it. And like I said at the beginning, she has this collective writing that this happened to me, but I'm talking about us and we as a collective, that we went through this. This is how we had it in the 40s or 50s or 60s, you know. And the years are much more so. It's less personal and more we, and more criticizing society and how life were during these decades, and how it was to, you know, grow up in a small town in the Normandy. It also has a lot of photographs, books, songs, radio stations, and television that you usually watch, you know. Different paper headlines that were big. So yeah, it's written notes about 6 decades you know, of diary writing. I'm glad you're still leaning on. Yeah, I don't mind it. You know, it was a long time ago. You guys, I'm at my 30. You know, it's 16 years ago. It's 16 years ago. Oh my god. Imagine that though. I just realized. Imagine if I had got pregnant. I would have a 16-year-old fucking brat in my house though. Ugh. Ugh. They would be like, "Mom, you don't understand literature." Oh my god. I can't wait until I have a nosy brat teenager who thinks they know more about literature than I do. Bring it on, kid. Bring it on. Oh, I thought you sniffled because you're crying. No, I'm stuffed. I'm like... I am sick. I don't know why. It's always when I start streaming. I'm fine when I'm not streaming, but as soon as I start streaming, I'm like, oh my god, I can't breathe through my nose. I was worried. Nah, don't be worried about me. The little Ophi running around. My wife. Oh, hello, hello. Anyway, moving on. I Remain in Darkness. It's written 99. It got 96 pages. This is about her writing about her mother. You can say this book is about her mother's disease because she's trying to help her mom recover from Alzheimer's. Spoiler, not really spoiler, but her mom does not make it. So it's both about her talking about her mom getting sick, talking about helping her when she's sick, but then also talking about how you cope and move on after your mom passed away. It's on my reading list because I really want to read that one, but I haven't gotten that far. I need to take my dog out. Yes. 30, you sound so young. I know, right? I am a young woman. Shadbix is sick? Yeah. You know, as soon as you get, you know, you guys are around, I'm like... Not really. No, you make me feel so good. Or something. Okay. We also have A Frozen Woman. This book is about... It's written 96 and has 192 pages. I've written Teenage Awakening because I thought that was obvious, but now I realize it's not really obvious. It's about her teenage years and her progressing of her desires of what she wants to do in her life, her ambition to like fulfill herself, but also her like chosen profession as being a teacher, but also writing books. She has like she has goals in her life, right? But then the inevitable thing happened, you know, she gets 2 children, 2 sons, and, you know, everything, it's like a big conflict between that. Like, you know, she's a 30-year-old teacher, married to an executive, she's a mother of 2 infant sons, but she still wants to have her profession, like she wants to be this career writing woman, but she also needs to like have a nice apartment, and she needs to raise her kids, and she also have like she's going through like how from her teenage years, from her goals into womanhood, when she realizes, oh my god, I want this career and this is what I wanted as a teenager, but now I also have kids, which I love, of course, but how am I going to be a mother but also have everything I want for myself? Like, of course, like, you know, motherhood is hard, you know? Sometimes, you know, it is what it is, but you know. But in this book, I've heard that she describes her like enthusiasm and oh my god, knows why. Oh, that's better. She talks about her enthusiasm and curiosity, but also her strength and her happiness, but everything just slowly ebbing under the weight of her daily routine. And I feel like, you know, we all been there. We all have like goals and things we want to do and succeed in, but we also have all these daily chores and daily things that we need to do, even if we're not a mother or we're a dad with children that we need to take care of. We still always have these chores that we have to do, you know, that's in the way, and so that's like hindering you to fly away and do all these things that you want to do. And in that book she's discussing that. Need to blow your nose? I don't know, it goes up and down. So, like, now it's fine. See? Fine. But soon it's probably going to be clogged again. We will see. And then there's 3 left. And like I said, I only knew there was 11. But apparently there's 14 books that's been translated. I don't really know more. You kind of have to put your life on hold for children. Exactly. Sniff redeem. Exactly. We have a woman's story. This is about her mother. Like I said in the previous one, we had the what was it called again? It was A Remains in Darkness, right? That was about her mom getting like Alzheimer's, and then her helping her mom with Alzheimer's, and then how to move on after your mother or your parents leave you. In this book, she tells like who was her mother before the disease, like who was her mother when she was a child, before she had any at all, who was her mother before she had kids, what was her goals and her life choices and everything that she wanted in life. It's also she doing a comparison between herself as a mother and also her mother, how she was as a mother. She also do explorations between the bond between a mother and a daughter, how it is and how it feels, you know. You can say it's a powerful tribute to her mother, basically. It was written in 1987 and has 104 pages roughly. I'm a little bit intrigued in reading this, but if I'm going to be completely honest, I'm more interested in reading about her mom getting Alzheimer's. Not because I want to read about that, but I feel like I can relate to that. I've had family members with Alzheimer's and things, and I feel like I really want to read that. But I think all her books sound really great, to be honest. We have The Exteriors. It's written in 1996 and has 96 pages. This one, I couldn't like find a grip about what this was about, but what I could understand, it was a random journal entries over the course of 7 years. Like the other one were like 6 decades of diaries and different memories of from her life. This one follows 7 years and has random journal entries from these years when she's like exploring. Oh yeah, I remember now. It was about less about her and her life and more about how life in France is. It's very critical, like it's criticizing France, but not like, you know, badly criticizing it, but it's like, you know, this is how it is to live in a small town in France. This is how it is to grow up in a small town in France, and like, you know, how is the sexism around these years, and you know, how was the progression with everything. How did everyone behave if you didn't do like them and stuff like that. So it's less personal, this one, and more about daily life around a small town, which is, you know, interesting. I grew up in a very small town, you know. It was very like everyone knows everyone and everyone knew who you were. Even if you didn't know who they were, they knew who you were, you know. They would be like, oh, you're that sister, or you the daughter of blah blah blah, you know. It could be really freaky sometimes, especially when they knew stuff about you that you thought you didn't tell anyone. But that can also be because my mom was like, you know how every city has that gossip old lady that sits at the store and she's like, oh, did you hear about this person? She got this grade, you know. That gossiping old lady, that's my mom. So, you know, when something happened, and if you were not extremely clear to her that this is a secret, I do not want the entire city to know about this, she would tell them. My god. Word gets around fast. It was surprising. Yeah. I remember the day I got my period. 2 days. And everyone knew. I thought it was a private matter, but apparently getting a period is not a private matter. Is it, Mom? Right, kitty? Yeah, fuck Mom. The gift of gab. Yes. But yeah. Knowing a secret just means gossiping to different crowds. Yeah. But like, it was also like my mom, you know, she gossiped in our hometown, but she also worked in another town that was basically the same size as our hometown, and it was like the neighboring town. And she had a job that contained to be like a youth center, or like a kid and youth center group leader. She basically took care of kids from 0 years up to like 16, and she had like all the kids, and she had like contact with all the parents, and she told them about me. So, you know, I remember one time when my mom was like, can you come and get me at my work, and we go and we will do something. I don't really remember. All I remember was I came to her work, and this young kid just looked at me, and she was like, who are you? And I was like, oh, you know, I'm Emma's daughter. My mom is Emma. And she was like, ha ha ha, you're Ophi. You don't know how to make mashed potatoes. And I was like, huh? And she's like, yeah, 1 month ago you had to call your mom and asked her about the recipe about mashed potatoes. We laughed at you. And I was like, oh my god. Thank you? So yeah, everyone in that city knows I do not know how to do mashed potatoes. I was, by the way, 8 years old, okay? I was not an adult, okay? I was like 8 or 10, I don't remember. I had done something in the city, and she was going to drive us home from that city to our hometown, and I was just came there, and there was this 5 years old who's like, oh, you don't know how to do mashed potatoes. And I was like, thanks, Mom. Embarrassing me in front of all the kids. Damn, Queen goes to the grocery store and shop at his house appeared go. The thing is, the shop, the grocery store assistant, she was the mother of my swim team buddy. So, you know. And that day, I didn't go to my swim practice, and I said it was because my belly hurt. And I mean, it did hurt because I was on my period. But my mom, she was like, oh my god, we need to go and get you some tampons, you know, oh my god, my daughter, she got her period, let's go. So we went to the store, and then I was like, Mom, this is super embarrassing, just take something. And my mom was like, no, we have to get the right stuff, you know, and you seem to have heavy flow, you know, and your mom, I don't have heavy flow, I have very small flow, so I'm not expert on heavy flow. And I was like, Mom, stop saying it. You know. And she's like, oh, I know, we can go and ask Gunilla, the mother of Johanna. And I was like, no, Mom, don't. And she was like, I can do it. So I went and hid behind the things, you know, but I could still hear them. And then I just hear my mom, she's like, oh, my daughter, she got her period today, she's not at the swimming practice today, but she has very heavy flow, right? Do you know what pants we should get? And this Gunilla, you know, the other mother, she was like, oh, I'm so happy. Oh, that's so fun to hear. Yeah, no, I don't know anything about heavy flow because I don't have heavy flow either. And my mom was like, oh, that's such a shame. Which one do you think is good? Oh, this one says it's good for heavy flow. Yeah, take that, Emma. That's a great choice. Where is Ophi, by the way? My mom was like, oh, she's hiding here somewhere. She's very ashamed. You know? And I just stood there. I was like, what the fuck? I died. And then the next time I went to Ohio, so we're talking about my heavy flow. And then the next time, you know, I went to the swimming practice, everyone was like, you could not come to swim practice because you have heavy flow. And I was like, oh my god. Yeah, shameful times. Anyway, that was not what we were going to discuss. I feel like the top of embarrassment that would have felt alienated. Yeah, that's my childhood in a nutshell. And, you know, when I just stormed out of the store, and my mom was like coming up to me. She's like, "Ophi, what's the matter? We got these pads. They say it's for heavy flow. It's pretty good, right? You're gonna sleep so comfortably with these heavy flow pads." And I'm like, Mom, get into the car. Get into the car, Mom. You know, she's like, oh, it's nothing to be embarrassed about. I was like, get into the car, you know. Oh my god. Another thing, like, you know, you would think that, you know, oh my god, your parents are only embarrassing like when you're a kid. But no, you know what happened today, speaking of? You know, today my mom, she called me today and she was like, hey, Ophi. And I was like, hey, Mom. And she's like, you know, I bought some panties. And I was like, okay. And she's like, yeah, you know, I bought some panties, and when I got them, turns out it's not my size. And I was like, okay. You exchange them, but apparently you can't exchange them because it's panties, you know. And she's like, oh, so it's not my size, they're very too small for me, but you know, you have the right size, do you want my panties? And I was like, yeah, why not, you know. And you know, one part of me is like, you know, I really need to buy new panties, okay? So now, you know, so I was like, you know, free stuff, why not get the panties? But you know, the other part of me was like, she's probably going to look like, you know, granny panties, but you know, why not? They probably comfortable, because you know, that's what parents do. They buy granny panties and they're comfortable, you know. And then she was like, oh, you know, it's hockey tonight, so I will bring a bag in the car with the panties, and then before you go home, you can have the bag with the panties. I was like, yeah, Mom, okay, you can stop saying bag of panties, like, you know, stop it. But I knew that was not the end of it. But, you know, I also learned not to feel shame over stuff my parents say. This time, it was not my mom. This time, it was my dad. Kitty, no, Kitty. Not the cables. Thank you. Anyway, then when we went to the hockey and we watched the hockey game and everything, and then when we were going to the parking lot to the cars, my mom was like, don't forget your bag with the panties, honey. And I was like, yeah, Mom, I'm coming to your cars to get the bag with the panties, and I will go to my car and go home, okay? And then I see my dad turn around with the biggest smile, and then he looks at my uncle, because my uncle was there too, my dad's brother, and he smiles at my brother, and my uncle, he was like, huh, is something going on? And I know my dad's smile when I see it, something was up there. Then he just starts shouting on the parking lot with all the people from the hockey arena that knows me, because I've been having, seasonal tickets since I was 8 years old. Everyone knows me. When I go away from the hockey game, everyone is like, see you next week, Ophi. And I'm like, yeah, right back at you, dude. Everyone knows me there. And then my dad just speaks really loudly. You're gonna get the bag of your mom's old panties? You're gonna, take over your mom's old panties? And my mom is like, no, husband, they are not old panties. I never used them. They were too small. And my dad was like, oh, you're getting your mom's old panties? Can you not buy your own panties? You have to use your mom's old ones? And I was like, just fucking give me the bag. Dad, stop it. Give me the fucking bag. I just want to go home. So I finally got the bag. Then I had to go through the entire parking lot because my car was far away from their car. And it felt like everyone was staring at me. They probably didn't, but it felt like it. Then I got home and I was surprised. It's no granny panties, that's for sure. I don't know what the fuck kind of panties my mom is buying, but they are no granny panties, that's for sure. They're very fancy, laced ones. I'm like... the bag of shame panties. Yeah. Oh my god, yes. It was horrible. Horrible. But yeah. I actually have one of her panties on right now. Pretty nice. Sexy time. Yeah, it's not sexy time. My mom is a Christian lady. Come on, boys. No. But they are no like granny cotton panties. They're a little bit fancy, but still very modest. Modest but fancy. Yeah. But no sexy time. No sexy. A new walk of shame. Yeah. Walk of shame with panties. Big panties. Oh my god. Little high class panties. Yes. Anyway, we have one more book to talk about. The last book is called A Man's Place. It's written 92. That's when I was born. This is one of the books that I really want to read about. It's 99 pages and it's about her dad. It's like a woman's story, and this one is A Man's Place. So the woman's story was about her mom. This one is about her dad. So it's like about who was her dad before he became a dad. What was his goals in life? What did he want? Did he exceed in the things he wanted? How was the relationship between her father and her as a daughter? Did they have a good relationship? Did they have bonding like me and my dad shouting old mom panties on the parking lot? Did she feel shame over her dad? No, I don't think so. Yeah, you probably did. Oh, bye-bye, Cliffy. Oh yeah, we're here for books. Exactly, we're here for books and not my shameful past. But yeah, it's about her dad, and this is also the book that she won her very first prize for. This is the book that got her I've written a 92, I realized, but I think the English version was translated 92. I think because the book was written, was it 85? Yeah, it was written, I think 85 or 82 or something, but it was probably translated 92 into English. Many of these years could be the English translation, actually, when I think about it. Maybe I fucked up there. I don't know. Too late to change that now. But yeah, this was the book that she got famous for in France, you know? This is the one she got her first prize for that many talk about. And it's also the Nobel Prize committee leader that was in the committee to decide that she was going to be the Nobel Prize winner. He said that if you want to start on a book, you should start on A Man's Place, because he feel like that's her best work. I think it's like most of Annie's books are very like female and feminist oriented. So I feel like, you know, if you're a man, I think A Man's Place would speak to you more than her other works. I think. Because most of the people who recommend their books, like the females, like myself, they talk about a woman's story and the happening a lot. But when you ask a man about what book that they recommend from Annie, they always talk about A Man's Place. And I think it's like, maybe it's hard for some men to... Oh my god, my cat have retard reflexes now. Stop running, kitty. Stop it. Oh my god, he's retarded now. Anyway, I think maybe it's harder for men to like visualize how it is to be a woman in today's society. I don't know, but most talk about this book. So I really want to read it to see if this is actually the best one, especially because the committee leader say it's the best one. If he's saying it due to, you know, a male perspective, I don't know, but I will read it next. I think it's the next one on my list, you know. I will keep my comments to a minimum so I don't derail the conversation and you can sleep before work. Then we have a conversation about panties. Yes. You know, conversations about panties are very, you know, very important. But it's past midnight and I should really go to bed. Kitty do be kind of dumb sometimes. Yeah, he's usually dumb around this time. Around midnight, he starts running back and forward, back and forward, and back and forward. And he starts to attack our shoes in the hallway. Don't know why, but he attacks the shoes. So when I wake up in the morning, the shoes are like scattered around the apartment. Because apparently when I fall asleep, it's hard for me to wake up. I can sleep through anything. So it's kind of funny. So I am here late. How did she win the Nobel Prize? The Nobel Prize is the Swedish Literature Academy. They go together and they have a couple of nominees, and then they decide who they think should win this year. So, you know, it's a group of Swedish literature nerds deciding every year who should win, basically. And this year they decided that Annie was the winner because they liked her collective memoirs or autobiography books about sexism, feminism, the Me Too movement, abortions, females' right to their own body-ish books. And she's writing in a very raw and unapologetic way. So she really describes how it is, and she doesn't like sugarcoat anything. Like, this is how the world looks like. This is what we went through during the 60s and the 50s and the 70s, and this is how it was. And even if she takes all her books from core memories or memories that she have, and she writes about them and use them for like themes for her books, she still write in a collective way that even if she's the main character and this happened to her during that time, there's still a lot of people who do go through that at that time, but also still do in other countries. So she writes in a we went through this and this happened to us instead of I and me. Yeah. But like I also said, the committee this year has a lot of females. So there's a lot of women in the people who decided the winner this year. And I'm not saying that's a negative, but I feel like if you look at her books and the themes in her books, it kind of makes sense that, you know, a group of females have voted this to win. And I'm really happy that she did win. I feel like she deserved this win. She really do. And I read 5 of the 11 books that I thought was translated. It was apparently 14. My bad. I'm not going to talk about the other ones because I haven't read in on the other ones that was translated. So you have to Google that for yourself. But yeah. I think they're going to translate more of her books now, because she had a lot of books that wasn't translated, that was only in France, in French. So maybe more is going to be translated now that she won the Nobel Prize. I know that only like 2 of her books was translated into Swedish, and that was The Happening, and it was Years. Those 2 books were the ones that been translated into Swedish, but I heard they're going to translate multiple of these English ones as well. So that's good, you know. More power to knowledge, you know. And actually, that was the end of it. I just did a happy reading. I hope it was rather informative and not too, I was gonna say delusional, but I am not delusional, but I'm a little bit scattered sometimes and all over the place. So I hope that sorry, I'm stuffed again. There we go. I hope that you still understood what I tried to say, and that it was interesting, somewhat interesting at least, and that maybe you want to read at least one of these books, you know? I'm not forcing anything, but you know, Nobel Prize winner, maybe you should try it. I say, and I didn't even read the Nobel Prize winner from last year. I was going to, but I never did in the end. But yeah, I do recommend it. I'm going to take a break from her books now, because I feel like after I read this one, The Girl Story, that I read today, I feel like most of her books go together now. It doesn't feel like I'm reading multiple books. It feels like, you know, I read part 1, now I'm part 2, and then I'm part 3, you know, which is a good thing. But I also feel like, you know, I want something new. I want something else for a bit. So I will read more from her in the future. But right now I will pick something else to read. I don't know if you're interested in what I'm going to read next, but I could tell you if you want. I have a lot of books happening, you know. That's not what I try to do. I just played this in the back while writing scripts, but I have some books to add on my list now. Yes, do it. Write it. Write it all. Tell us? That was very demanding, wasn't it? Tell us. Do it. Do it now. And then go to bed? Yeah, I shall. I'm not really that tired, but I think it's because, you know, I'm never tired when I'm streaming, but as soon as I press, like, end stream, I pass the fuck out. So I think that, you know, I'm having so much fun doing this, you know, but then I get tired. I'm sorry that I'm looking down, but you know, I don't remember the books that I'm going to read, so I've written them down. So I'm trying to get into the program to like see what books it was that I wanted. Oh, you know, if I remember my password, it would be great. Yes, I remember my password. Very good. Very good. Okay. So the things I'm going to read next is I have a book called The Slob by Ernaux Nobel. I know. But the summary of that book goes something like this. Some stains don't come out. Raised in a household so filthy it was stomach spilling, Vera involuntarily evolved into a neat freak. Upon discovering she and her disabled husband Daniel are expecting, she needs fast cash. Her obsession with cleanliness sprouts the concepts that she skills can be put to some use in a unique way. She takes a stab at a booming door-to-door vacuum sale business of 1988. All is going well until she arrives to the steps of a house that will change her forever. The steps of the evil that resurrects the ghastly memories she so desperately tried to wash away. Nothing will prepare you for the nastiness, disorder, and sickening horror brought forth by the Slob. The Slob received critical praise and as a result has been nominated for the 2021 Splatterpunk Award. Warning, this book contains graphic content. So yeah, one of the people who read this say this: repulsive and vile. This is extreme horror at the finest. It's disgusting and will make you cringe and wrinkle your nose and upper lip as if it is constantly saying, ew, that's disgusting. If you're a fan of splatterpunk and extreme horror, this is a must-read. I thoroughly enjoyed it, and with it being my first Aaron Berg read, I'm definitely a fan. So apparently, basically, it's about a girl with a disorder. She gets kidnapped by a man called the Slob, who has a nasty, disgusting house. But he's also a slob and super disgusting himself, and he's putting her through hell with dirty stuff. Like, not dirty sexy stuff, but like dirty eat garbage kind of stuff. Like, he's forcing her to do certain things. And there's a number 2 book. You know, there's a sequel to this that's called Son of the Slob. So, you know, and it's like, you thought the Slob was bad. Look at the son, he's even worse. So I don't know. It sounds great. Maybe it's just me, but I'm like, oh my god. It sounds like, you know, some 80s splatter punk with some disgusting slobness going for it. But, you know, I'm intrigued. Also, my favorite history horror author, Alma Katsu, has given out a horror book. about werewolves during the Second World War, which I'm intrigued to read. I'm also going to read a cannibal book that's called Tender is the Flesh. I was going to read Tender is the Flesh for a very, very long time. But apparently it's about the fact that we don't have that much animal in the future anymore. And the only flesh that we can eat is human. So it is a horror, but it's also set in a time where all humans eat humans, and it's kinda okay in that sense, but there's still this ethical questioning, like, you know, is it okay to eat humans? But in this book it's written as if like this is the norm and this is what everyone does and everyone do it. But I heard a lot of good things about that one, so you know. I'm also going to read The Girl Next Door by Jack Ketchum. And Jack Ketchum, I don't know if you guys know, but Jack Ketchum, he writes a lot of extreme horror. Like, his horror books are extremely extreme, and it's very like graphic and vile, all of them. And most people say that his book, The Girl Next Door, is one of the worst book of all time. I'm going to read that. I'm also going to read another one that he's written. I think it's called like The Woman or something like that. Yeah, The Woman. We saw a movie about that the other night. Slob too, yes. We saw a movie, I think it was called The Woman too. I know I'm debating myself. Did we not? I'm gonna see our movie nights here. Yeah, here, The Woman. It was about, you know, the feral woman that the man found in the forest, and he took her home to make her his sex slave. And then she breaks free and she eats everyone. So it's also a cannibal story. Apparently that's based on a book, and I'm gonna read the book as well. So it's gonna be a lot of cannibal and extreme horror now. Worse in a good horror kind of way. I have to leave early? Oh, that's fine. It's fine. I'm going to end the stream here anyway, so you're not gonna miss anything. Oh yeah, that was an interesting movie. Yeah, it was very, very graphic, but apparently the book is even worse, and it has a lot worse scenes. So we will see. Yeah, it was a long time ago since I read extreme horror that's super disgusting and super vile. So, but I feel like I'm into it. I've been reading a lot of more like, you know, not so graphic, not so vile, more like subtle ghost stories, gothic stories, you know, that creeps a little bit in the background, but nothing too extreme. So I'm kind of looking forward to reading more like, you know, gory stuff, you know, like I want the splatter, I want the chopping of the blood and the body parts, you know, I want all the goriness that I can have. Wait. Who is issuing commands to me? And then go to bed? Oh yeah, I see. Sounds like the intro of an episode of OCD Cleaner Show. It kind of does. I do agree with that one. Give me death and murder? Yes. Yeah. So that's what my October is gonna be. Oh yeah, I'm also going to read The Murder on Apollo, or the Apollo Murder. You know, this month's book club book. We're going to have a discussion on it on the 5th of November. So that's in 2 weeks, you know? So I need to read that as well. I'm saying that like, you know, oh, I'm not gonna be able to read it, but I'm gonna be able to read it. I also, the thing why I haven't started that book yet is because I ordered it, but I haven't gotten it yet. So I'm still waiting for it. Amazon do be slow sometimes, you know? But I hope I will have it soon. Maybe in the end of the week. Otherwise, I will just have to download the ebook or start listening to it on Audible or something. I just rather not. I'd rather read it, you know. But hopefully I don't get it like last minute, because that will be a lot of ugh, you know, from me. I will complain, you know, if that's if that happens. But it's alright. Now though, I need to go to bed because it's 1:30 and I need to be up in 5.5 hours, probably more like 5 than 5.5. So I will say good night and thank you for stopping by, and thank you for listening to me rambling about books, even though you might not be as passionate about books as I am. But it still makes me happy that you guys wanna stick around and listen to me ramble. Oh, hi Cecil, I'm actually going now, I'm sorry. But yeah, I'm ending the stream now. Thank you all for stopping by, and much love to everyone. And no, not Booba. God damn it. I was gonna kiss you on your forehead for doing a good job, servant. So, thank you for stopping by. Mwah. And I hope everyone will have a good night. Or a good day, depending on your time zone. And I will hopefully see you all soon. Bye. Kiss you.